Okay, everybody, welcome back to another, what I hope will be exciting and educational video on how to do some divination. We're going to be focused on another layout today, and yes, it is the Celtic cross. I know most of you who are familiar with any kind of tarot or rune or any divination based on those systems, you will be likely familiar with the Celtic cross. So if you are, still watch the video because it's on a tabletop thing with a candle and there's a treasure chest, so that's fun. And for those of you completely new to the Celtic cross layout, definitely watch the video. It's an excellent layout. It's very popular for a reason. It'll serve you extremely well, and you won't be led wrong by this particular layout. It's worth picking up. It's worth mastering. So that's about it. What we'll do is we'll just kind of go over the layout today and what each position means in the layout and get a better sense for that. However, we won't be using tarot cards today because I imagine pretty much every Celtic cross introduction will use tarot cards. So I wanted to use my other favorite child, the runes. Normally, though, I wouldn't use the runes on the Celtic cross layout just because there are so many positions in it and there's very few runes that well, you won't get the variance that you will with a full deck of tarot cards. There's way more cards than there are runes. However, I like the runes, and I do occasionally use this. Many of the runes will get to kind of bring their voice to the reading, and you'll kind of get to hear from them all. So that said, let's start laying these out, and we'll take a look. We'll take a look at the layout itself. So I'll try and position this in a way that doesn't induce vertigo, but will still give us a nice view. So anyways, sit down, calm your mind, stop the inner voices, good or bad, and focus on your question, or on the question that you are dealing with for someone else, and shuffle your things, do your rituals, ask Odin for help, ask the runes for help, whatever it is you particularly find useful before reading. And then once you're done shuffling your runes, you can start laying them out, or your tarot cards, or whatever you're using. Oops, you don't need all of them at once, though. So, let's see. We will start at the beginning. This, well, let's just lay this out. We'll see if this works, actually. I hadn't thought of this. I don't want these to merge into one thing. Ah, there we go. Okay. So, we'll go over this once I lay everything out. We'll see how your intuition is. Maybe you're already getting a feeling for what these mean, if you're unfamiliar with this particular layout. Let's get this coin over here. And I'm going to use this coin today. I've decided I'll just use this little coin to put on the thing that I'm talking about, so you know where we are in the reading, in the layout. So that said, let's start at the beginning. Most people will tend to start at the very central position. And this particular central card or rune will indicate the overall situation involved in this reading. So if it's a personal situation, this is the overall flavor. If it's a work situation, that's the overall flavor. This is the big picture of the reading. This is the big snapshot. And it's kind of where you are right now in time and space, and where everything's at. And that's about it. So it depends on what that is. That'll inform you there. And it may not be something you expect. The card or rune that is placed on top of this central card is the thing in the way. This is the big problem. This is the big rub. This is where all the friction and stress and blockage and all that stuff is coming from. So whatever's there might lead you to discover that in a little more detail, to learn your enemy and possibly learn a way around whatever stands in your way. Knowledge is half the battle, and I guess violence is the other half. So let's go up here to the top. It's this is the things you're focused on, or another person might be focused on. I think if you're doing a reading for yourself, chances are you will know what you are already preoccupied with. But this is usually for somebody else, or perhaps a situation somewhere. So this is the thing, this is the main thing that everybody's aware of, kind of focusing on, kind of fixated on. And it's the thing that perhaps they should be, But this is where everyone's eyes are, so to speak. And as with most instances of symmetry, we'll go down here and find that this is the unconscious below. And these are the things that people are rather unaware of. That doesn't mean that they are inactive. Certainly they're active. They're at work. And I don't know if you guys can hear my lovely washing machine buzzing, but hopefully not. So this down here is where people will need to pay attention. These are the unconscious forces. They are affecting the situation, so be aware of them. Chances are you or the person you're reading for will not be aware of these. The card to the left in this cross area here will be the recent past. These are events and forces that have set the present into motion, that have made the present moment become what it is. So whatever's back here is what the situation is rooted in. That can kind of, looking back, can kind of give you the glance ahead, or at least a better understanding of why things are the way they are at the present moment. So an important card there, or rune in this case. And then keeping with the tradition here, the card on the opposite side is the opposite meaning. So if this is the past, this is the present, or future rather. Goodness, I need a watch. This is the future. Anything upcoming will be represented here, and generally this is the near future. This isn't far-flung. This isn't extreme long-term planning. This isn't long-term banking and investing. This is on the cusp. It's on the horizon. It's already on the way. Usually. You'll have to play it by ear, of course, in your own readings. But that's the future. Upcoming events. So, down here, and this kind of staff, or sword. Sometimes people call this the staff and shield, the sword and shield, staff and cross. It's the Celtic cross, whatever flavor you like. But certainly this column over here is what we're looking at now. And the bottom part of this column is yourself. Your own attitudes, your own approaches, your own immediate environment, your own inner configurations, your own inner calibrations, all that kind of stuff. Anything dealing with you and your approach to things is found and indicated by this bottom card in the staff on the right hand side here. Now, moving up, you move outside of yourself. So this card will indicate the environment around you, the people, places, things, moods, attitudes, everything going around you is here. And that's indicated by this card or rune. So anything outside of yourself will be kind of labeled by whatever pops up in this position. Moving up here, this is, some people read this a little differently. I've seen it done as hopes and fears, or advice. And they all kind of make sense. They'll work. I like advice usually. I usually read this as the kind of, hey, look, here's your situation. This is what's going on. Try and do this. Try and take care of business in this fashion. Something like that. It also may be hopes and fears. It could be the pros and the cons of the situation. Whatever you choose to read it as, it's more a commentary on the situation. Whatever you choose to fill that in with. Yeah. Commentary, I think, is the right word for that. It's a little bit of a filler position, so. A little final note before this reading signs off. And here's where it signs off. In the top position on the staff over here, this is the conclusion. This is where things will wind up if you do nothing to change the situation. If it's a good card or a good rune, well, you're all set. No worries. If it is a displeasing one, maybe a baddie comes up here, you might want to take some action and change this particular outcome, whatever it may be. Not always good, not always bad, but sometimes keep in mind even the bad things lead to better things. So play it by ear and see what comes up and see what you want to do about it in this position. So that's the outcome. That's the layout. That's about it. That's the Celtic cross. That's the sword and shield, whichever you prefer. So as an example, we can flip some of these over. And let's say we're just reading for a friend. We're just reading their general situation, as it were. So at the moment, Odal is in the center, so there's probably some kind of inheritance afoot, something coming into play from the past. Definitely family issues may come up in this instance. It depends on what they're asking about, really. That would give us more information here. But it seems things are rather frozen, so we have the ice rune it's blocking things up, which is an appropriate rune to have blocking things. Things are frozen. Things ain't moving. They're gunked up, as it were. So we need to figure out how to get over that. So the rest of the reading will kind of inform us as to maybe a way through, maybe a way to melt the ice. The good news is that the sun is shining. Everything is pretty clear in this reading. There's no real dangers that seem to be in the awareness area here. This is the sun rune. Everything's bright and shining and pretty visible. Attitudes aren't bad despite the blockage. There's no real bad will afoot here. However, down here, what's in the unconscious position is the rune of need, the need fire. So something is lacking in the situation. Something is desperately lacking, and whatever that may be will tend to melt the ice. And of course, the rune itself is need fire, and we have ice blocking things. So heating up of the situation might be in order. I think because it's in the unaware part, that would be appropriate there. In the past, a kind of justice, a kind of self-sacrifice led us to this inheritance. So that kind of brought that out, something giving away, something upholding tradition, upholding social order, upholding family order, I suppose in this case would be likely reading outcome here. Excuse me. And then we have the rune of protection, but it's kind of a thorny protection coming up. So it seems that once the ice melts, you may move into a protective stance, perhaps protecting this kind of inheritance, whatever it was that was gained and freed from the ice may need to be guarded based on this rune. Or it may actually still be under guard. It may still be frozen by this kind of thorn rune. So as far as the person goes, this would be themselves. It's kind of a luck rune. Who knows what's coming out of this cup? Who knows what's coming out of this little passageway? It's always kind of a fate rune. It's a fortune rune too, though, so I think there would be a sense of luck surrounding the person in this situation. Around them, we have Fehu, so kind of money and luck again, but kind of a passing wealth. So it's interesting that that would come up and it ties with this inheritance thing. So it may be around them. There's a certain sense of jealousy about this inheritance coming up. There's a good chance of that in this particular layout. And anyways, that's the environment around the person. This is the advice. This is the kind of hope and fear. The commentary on the reading, and it's the rune of protection. So this would suggest that even though things may be a little crappy right now, and I know I said this is a different kind of protection. This is more of a divine protection, and this is kind of a dangerous, the way a thorn protects the rose, so to speak. But this is more like a blessing kind of thing. So there's kind of a divine favor at work here. So there's really not too much to worry about. I wouldn't be worried about this situation at all. But of course, as things go, we wind up with the Hoggles rune, the rune of disruption. Now the tricky part in this particular reading will be to suss out if this disruption will break this ice. Will the hail punch holes in the ice? Or is it just more ice? Is it a bad disruption? And we'd have to pull some more things, I think, and really kind of look at this in depth to get into that. But this will be the outcome. So if nothing is done, it'll end in the kind of disruption, which may not be a bad thing in this case. It might break the ice up. Or it might just ruin everything. Who knows? That's up to your particular reading persuasion skills and abilities to decide. Plus, we don't really know who we're reading for here. But anyways, guys, that's the Celtic cross. That's the necessary and traditional Celtic cross. Learn this reading. It will serve you well. I hope this video was helpful, and you actually came away with knowing a little bit more about this. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, you can substitute tarot cards or whatever else you'd like in place of runes, but I like the runes and I don't get to use them often enough in these videos, so there you have it. Yeah, guys, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think about the Celtic cross in particular, any of your experiences, any of your readings, any quirks that you seem to have with it, any issues, whatever your thoughts are, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Other than that, yeah, again, I hope you guys are doing well. I'll catch you in the next video. Anything else? No, that's enough yapping. Alright, bye guys.